Well, first of all, I'm grateful to God Almighty who has seen me uh, this far in the journey. I know that my emergence is not commonplace, so I return all glory and thanks to Almighty God. Well, as far as how I feel, it's mixed feelings, really. On one hand, I'm grateful to the members of our great party, especially our national chairman, Ozonbu Victor Ike-Oye, members of the National Working Committee, State Working Committee, and indeed the entire global APGA family, for finding me worthy to be their flag bearer in the upcoming gubernatorial election. And on the other hand, there's this feeling that reality has finally dawned. You know, this feeling when you're searching and longing for something that you know would be a great task, and it finally happens. So yeah, that's the feeling. But in all, I am humbled by this great confidence reposed in me by our party, and for the opportunity to be one of the candidates that could potentially be saddled with the responsibility of steering the affairs of our state come January 2024. It is indeed a great challenge, but I'm quite prepared for it. Challenging in the sense that we are faced with myriad of issues bedeviling our state at this point in time. From the all-time unprecedented rise in insecurity to the high rise of joblessness and unemployment among our teeming youths. Imo is a state with over 6 million people in population. And about 600,000 of this population could be called employed one way or the other. That's about 10% of the population. So that means over 90% of the population, or even more than that, if you consider the working population of that 6 million people, would be said to be unemployed or underemployed. That's a recipe for disaster. Are you going to talk about the deplorable state of our educational and healthcare infrastructure? Are you going to talk about the total absence and non-existence of the third-tier level of government, which is the local government? This is supposed to be the bedrock of the rural development in our state. But these are non-existent. Are you going to talk about lack of trust and confidence between the ruling class, between the government and the people? See, these are all the issues that are being confronted. We are being confronted in the state today. But we are poised to challenge the status quo. We are poised to cause a paradigm shift in the total culture of governance that we have experienced so far. And we will do this by, first of all, implementing economic policies that work, by creating a conducive business environment that would promote and support private sector driven economy, which is of course stimulating the microeconomic engines. This will spur economic growth and sustainable development. We will look at completely revamping our educational system by making sure that every school, both in the rural and the urban areas, are completely renovated and equipped properly so that our students can have a conducive learning environment. We're also going to look at our curriculums and make sure that it's geared towards providing children with quality education that will make them self-sustaining when they come out of school. We're also going to look at our teachers. A lot of the teachers that got their teaching training certificate over 20-25 years ago are completely out of touch with reality. We want to make sure that we provide an avenue for these teachers to go back and get recertified, so that we can bring them up to par to the contemporary teaching methodology. We're also going to make sure that we pay attention to students that that are inclined more towards the STEM, which is the science, technology, engineering, and math, and support them in those areas. In the healthcare sector, we're going to make sure that we pay particular attention to the primary healthcare facilities. Every local government should have a primary healthcare center. We have to make sure that these centers are properly equipped with the right personnel and the generic drugs for people in the rural areas. This is very important because these primary healthcare centers are the first port of call in case of medical emergency. They should actually be the first responder in provision of basic first aid services in case of an accident. A place you can now get the victims stabilized before moving them to the Federal Medical Center or trauma centers is important. For us to also equip these primary healthcare centers to provide basic services to pregnant women, like antenatal services, and also vaccinations for newborn babies. This will also reduce the child mortality rate in the rural areas. When we talk about the local government, which is a very passionate topic for me, we have to make sure that local government elections are conducted. And local communities elect councillors and chairmen that will govern that area. We have to make sure that these local government areas have total financial and operational autonomy. This is the only way that we can ensure that grassroots and rural development occurs in the local government areas. Then, of course, we have to pay attention to rural empowerment to our youths. This is an area that is quite important to me, and that you will hear more about it in the coming months, and I'll talk about it extensively in my manifesto. You see, for me, there are two forms of empowerment. You have the push empowerment and you have the pull empowerment. The push empowerment, which is very prevalent in our community today, where the politicians empower youths with buying them keke or okada without taking into consideration their God-given talent and abilities. This explains why a lot of the World Bank and UNDP projects fail after a time, because they are not people-oriented, and it doesn't solve our problems. But in my own opinion, the pull empowerment pattern is actually the empowerment that is geared towards lifting people out of poverty. That is, you're taking into consideration God-given talent and abilities of these individuals. So you can have a gentleman that is very technological savvy, and you buy him Okada. After a while, he's going to abandon that Okada because he doesn't feel that that is what he's supposed to be doing. So with the pull empowerment structure, we have to take into consideration the talents of these individuals, their abilities, and their flair in terms of making an honest means of livelihood for themselves. That is where we provide an opportunity for skill acquisition using technology and digitalization. We are going to take into consideration setting up technology hubs for our teeming youths. A lot of our teeming youths are very, very savvy in terms of technology. A lot of them are currently doing stuff online, selling online, trading online. So when we grab these children and we provide them the right skill set, whether it's in coding, data analysis, or in basic backroom customer support centers, then of course we provide them an opportunity to get into the global technology marketplace and compete with their counterparts across the globe. If you look at Pakistan, India, Philippines, they are providing business process outsourcing. It could be customer service, it could be paralegal services, whatever it is. We have great human capacity in Imo State, where we can actually provide an opportunity for these kids to earn a living through knowledge-based employment. So, for example, if we have a call center in Imo State and we have a contract with maybe Visa or MasterCard, and we provide support for 300 lines, that means automatically we've created 900 jobs, because those 300 lines are going to be manned by individuals 3 shifts a day. If they're just making $5 an hour for 40 hours a week, that's $200 a week. In a month, that's $800. If you calculate that with our current exchange rate now, that individual is earning more than $560,000 a month, 560,000 naira in a month. There's no way a young lady at IMSU would be earning 560,000 naira in a month and still go out on the street to prostitute her body. There is no way a young man would be earning that kind of money and still be able to get himself involved in criminality on the street. So this is an avenue for us to grab these children, harness their potential, and be able to provide opportunity for them. And Bella is doing this. There are a lot of online work platforms like Upwork and all that. Let us get them equipped with the right skill set so that they can compete favorably and sell their talent and their skill set to the world. And of course, that's going to also help us here to curb criminality, to curb insecurity and agitation, and also help grow the GDP of the state. And for those that are not technological savvy, yeah, if they are more inclined in the blue-collar work in terms of fabrication and welding and all that, we provide that opportunity so they can get very good skill set in that area, provide them means of mentorship, entrepreneurial mentorship, provide them access to small capital so they can buy the right equipment. This is where also the local content comes into play. If you want to participate in the local content, the multinationals have a standard for service provision for them. So if we equip these kids with the right skill set in terms of welding, provide them with the right equipment, they can also take advantage and get those jobs from the multinational. This is the real empowerment for our youth. This is the way that we can help solve some of these challenges. Above all, our focus would be to create equal employment opportunity for all, a level playing field for all. A child from no background can become somebody without having the connections or whatsoever. That is the IMO that we're hoping to build. And I'm quite excited. You asked me the question, how do I feel? I feel very elated. I feel very happy for this wonderful opportunity to help share my vision of building a new IMO, the new IMO of our dreams, a new IMO where children will recognize and appreciate education and hard work, and understand that there are no shortcuts to life. And also a new IMO where having moral standards and values and principles will be a thing of pride. A new IMO where there will be respect for sanctity of human life, and let us stop the killing. This is the IMO of our dream, and this is the IMO that I'm looking forward to building with your help. Oh yes, at this level of responsibility, but I've also served as a senior special assistant to the governor on administration, where I worked very closely with the governor and the chief of staff, my then immediate boss, Sir Emma Hakim. So, but yeah, at this level of responsibility, this is my first major political outfit. Well, since you mentioned his name, Ndambu, I think I might as well start from there. Sir and Lady Ambrose EJIOGU, our parents, I am the first son out of 4 sons and the third child out of 9 children. I was born and raised in Aba, where our parents lived at that time. I attended my primary school education at Imo State University Primary School at Aba. And after that, I moved on to my secondary education, which I actually did in a seminary school. At that point in my life, I thought I was going to be a priest. So I did my secondary education at St. Peter Clever Seminary School in Okwala. Graduated from the seminary school in 1992, and I left for further studies also immediately, same 1992, to the United States, where I got admission at the University of Akron in Ohio. I got my bachelor's in industrial management with concentration in management information systems. And right after graduation, I moved on to Maryland, where I had my master's degree from Bowie State University, a very prestigious black university in the Bowie, Maryland area, in administration. And subsequently, MBA in finance from University of Maryland. And then my professional career started. I have been involved in several sectors of discipline in my professional career, from consultancy to financial advisory services to non-profit organizations. I started my career with Dun & Bradstreet, and then Booz Allen & Hamilton as a world-leading management consulting firm. And eventually down the road, I bought into a mortgage company where I provided mortgage finance in over 50 states in the United States. And then I moved on to do some program financial management consultancy work with International Foundation for Election Systems, which is IFES. And that was my last professional work before I moved back to Nigeria in 2008. I cannot talk about moving back to Nigeria without giving credit to my brother and uncle, Captain Emmanuel Ihenacho. Incidentally, he has actually held the flag for this great party as a gubernatorial candidate at some point. So he actually encouraged me and provided me with a soft landing to coming back to Nigeria. We worked very closely together, and I was quite instrumental in a lot of the startup equipments that were purchased for integrated oil and gas company at that time. Until the opportunity came for me to serve my state, the governor called on me, Ikedi Hakim, and I was appointed as a senior special assistant to the governor on administration, where I worked very closely with him at the government house, and I set up a lot of policies that crushed the bureaucratic bottleneck at the government house. So yeah, that has been my sting, my professional career. And after we lost the election in 2011, I moved back to Lagos. I decided to stay back in Nigeria because I have this belief that the best of the land remain in the land. So I set up my consultancy firm, which is a process-driven management and financial consultancy firm, Advisory Services. I specialize in alternative financing mechanism. E-Horizon Consulting is my company. I've been running that company successfully for the past, God knows how long, since 2012 till date. I am married to my lovely wife, Ngozi, for over 17 years. We have 4 lovely children, 2 boys and 2 girls. I think that's pretty much it. That's just a summary of who I am. Well, that's a very good question. I think I've actually touched on some of the reasons in my earlier statement. But one of the key things, apart from the genuine desire to serve that made me decide to run, is from my observance throughout my existence as a Nigerian, it is clear that the concept of leadership is, in this part of our world, in our society, is completely misunderstood and oftentimes abused. You see, when a leader sees himself as more important than the people that he leads, you've got a fundamental problem in your hand. And that society, that community, or that establishment will invariably struggle to make any tangible progress. Well, yes, I have been saddled with the responsibility of leading in several organizations. I have been team lead on various assignments and projects in the course of my professional career. Even when I was in the secondary school, at the seminary school, I was the senior prefect of the seminary school from 1991 to 1992. You would agree with me that it's quite a difficult responsibility to be picked among many to be the senior prefect in a seminary school where there is very high standard of discipline. So for that, I think there must have been some quality that the rector saw in me to make me a senior prefect. So you see around the Owerri Archdiocese, a lot of the priests you see now are my classmates in the seminary school. So up to now, they still call me SP, senior prefect. Even then, when I moved on to United States at the University of Akron, I was the president of African Students Union while I was there. And even in the Maryland tri-state area, we have a social cultural organization of Emekuku people, indigenous. I was the chairman of Emekuku Ofiri, our socio-cultural organization, for 4 years. Locally here, in the religious organization that I belong in, at my local parish, at St. Benjamin's, I am also the past immediate chairman of the Catholic Men organization. So yes, I have been saddled with leadership responsibilities all through my life. Well, that's a very good question, and I actually was expecting that. And I was actually headed there before you interjected with the other question. You see, the fundamental attributes of a good leader is the same across board, whether you're a political leader, a religious leader, or what have you. If you don't have the fundamentals, you will struggle. And that is the difference that I'm bringing to the table. If you are a good leader, you must be ready to serve the people, devoid of any personal gain or selfish interest. That is called servant leadership. I know it's easy to say, but the reality and practicality of service and leadership is not an easy task. When you are a leader, you have to be ready to come down to the level of the people that you lead. You have to be able to listen to them and understand their problems. You have to be ready to empathize with them. You have to be honest. You have to be transparent. You have to be accountable to the people. You have to be responsive to their need. And you have to show empathy above all. And most especially, and I think this is where competence comes into play, there has to be this genuine desire to serve, the genuine desire to lead people in the right direction. And that is very important. And once you have that genuine desire to serve and to lead people in the right direction, as a leader, you might not know everything. But so long as there's sincerity of purpose and the true, genuine intention to lead them in the right direction, you won't have a problem assembling the right team to get the job done. And this is where I think there's a fundamental problem in our society. I talked about this earlier, the lack of trust and confidence between the people and the government. People believe that the government is not sensitive to their plight. And people believe that the government don't care about them. You look around and you see, a case in point, just the last concluded elections. People went out en masse to vote for the candidates of their choice, to make that decision to enthrone a new government of their own choice. But their hopes were dashed, and nobody cares. These are some of the issues that continue to breed distrust between the people and the government. Look at some times ago, there was scarcity of fuel, and the NEPA was not bringing light. And of course, the cash crunch, because of the Naira redesign, people were put through untold hardship. So you see that disconnect between the government and the people, and that's a very difficult thing. If you don't have trust in your government, if you can't trust what the government is doing, then you feel that you're not included in the grand scheme of things. So to answer your question, this is where most people will see a difference. I am coming to run an all-inclusive government, a government that is honest, a government that will be transparent to people, a government that will be accountable and responsible to people, a government that will ensure there's equal opportunity for all, a government that is sincere in their doing. So once we have all these things in place, we wouldn't have a problem growing organically as a people. All these issues, all these insecurity issues, economic issues that we have in our society will gradually fizzle away. So, and to answer your question, why did I decide to run under APGA? APGA is a great party. I decided to run under APGA because I wanted to run on a clean slate, where my vision and my plans for the development of the state would not be hijacked. A party that is affiliated to the Igbos. A party, just like our logo says, Onyala Mwania, being your brother's keeper. This has been the foundation of APGA. Yeah, granted, we had some issues in 2019, and which saw almost the party at comatose state. But luckily, most people didn't have the vision that I have. Everybody left for Labour Party, which I have no problem with. Labour Party is a wonderful party, and is actually built around and predicated on a man, Peter Obi, whom I have tremendous respect for, who has enlivened the consciousness of the youth politically. Yes, but the message he preaches is the same message of hope. He has a vision for a better Nigeria, and which is what I also saw in a place like APGA. I could have run under other PDP or other establishments, but they wouldn't give me the opportunity to run with my own vision. That is the new APGA we're trying to build in Imo State. That is the opportunity to build from within, to build from scratch. When everybody saw APGA as a dead party, I saw something in APGA, and that is why I decided to run there. To build also, just like Peter Obi has built the Labour Party. It's not about a party. It's about the ideology. It's about the mindset. You talk about the obedient structure. Well, I am equally obedient. Obedient is the desire for good governance, and you can do that in any party. So APGA provides me that opportunity to be able to chart my own course, to be able to show my vision to my party and let them run with it, so that we can actually implement these reforms that we're talking about, economic reforms, even in the judicial establishment. You know, we have to do away with all these institutional shenanigans that we see in the judicial system, in the prison reform, which is exactly something that is very passionate to me. When you catch a pickpocketer and you put him in jail, the jail is supposed to be an avenue for people to just get reformed. But when you lock him up with hardened criminals, he come out not being reformed. They are now joining the bandwagon and becoming a nuisance to the society. So some of these things, some of these ideas and vision that we have, APGA, as it stands today, provided me with that platform to be able to be original with my ideas and the opportunity to do that without the money bags hijacking things. So that is why I decided to run under APGA. And I'm very glad. And I'm glad also that our national chairman saw the vision in me and also gave me that opportunity and saw that there is a need to rewrite the history, to rise out of the ashes of what happened in 2019 and to build a new IMO APGA. And I'm grateful to God for that. Well, thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to share my vision. I look forward to working together with you and also to engage with my people to share my ideas for a new IMO that we're trying to build. As our APGA people say, Okokoroko, Achiabola, Achindi Mwagalebo. I want every hands on deck. Let us build a new IMO. Bebekani, APGA, Ngahe Surukopa, Onweba Ijubulaka. Give us a chance. Give the young progressive people a chance. It's all Progressive Grand Alliance. So this is the party for progressive mind. Let all sons and daughters of Imo come together and build a new Imo of our dreams. Ndewo Ndimo.